Nice to meet you guys.
Where are you guys
I
talking
just
to
get
us from?
really excited when men are doing Catholic things together. I'm always telling Trey, I'm like, you need to be out there making content.
Nah,
But
it's not my strong suit.
he's also very busy helping me run all my stuff behind the scenes. So, but proud of you guys for doing this.
We
Well, thank
appreciate
you.
it. You guys have been crazy, crazy busy. You make my schedule look like it's nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's busy, but it's also like our schedules are empty because we schedule our own days. But so we're flexible. But yeah, it's busy for sure.
It's the time of year, getting ready for holiday season and everything is a
Sure.
bit crazy right now.
Yes, indeed.
Do you still do your Ever Be podcast? I was checking out a couple of y'all's early episodes.
Yeah, we took a break for the summer, but we came back in September, so we're back and running every Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Awesome.
That's another thing to do.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Running a podcast is no joke. I really thought it was going to be like an easy, like you just chat for an hour once a week, but there's so much that goes into it. So
Yeah.
I could never do it without Trey
Yeah.
and our team.
The entire, when we started LLC and bank accounts and all the stuff, it was, yes, we are, thankfully we have our feet pretty planted on the ground now, but
Good.
it was, there was always one other thing, I know you guys know a lot about that for sure. Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where are y'all
yeah.
talking to us from? Where are y'all right now?
We are in Colorado, so just north of Denver.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Didn't know if you guys were like West Coast or just
West Coast.
over there somewhere.
We're fake West Coasters.
Fake West Coasters. I grew up in Seattle area, Washington State. So that's
Okay.
where the West Coast came from. But most people usually think it's California.
Guilty. That was me for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we
What
really
about
appreciate
you guys are
joining
in
us.
Alabama, right?
Yes,
We
indeed.
are. We actually live like maybe 5 miles from Meg.
Yep.
Something like that.
Absolutely. We've
Nice.
really a thriving parish here in Auburn, St. Michael the Archangel, and we've been really, really blessed through our parish to, have a lot of like-minded families. And we're in the same season of life, doing the same things. And our families, Megan's family, and a few others really have built this awesome, brotherhood and sisterhood and familyhood, and it's been really awesome to see, especially over the past couple years, and it's just been a good place. We're very blessed by it and excited for the future for sure. Doing a lot of good things.
Yeah, that's amazing. I've heard all about
Yes.
your group. I'm jealous.
Meg's got to stop gossiping, man.
Right. We'll never stop her. It's too late.
All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. We're super excited for another episode of the Catholic Dad Pod and super excited for these two guests we have joining us this evening. I'm not going to talk too long because y'all are not here this week to listen to me and Alex.
Nope.
So we have Trey and Mari Wagner, just this beautiful couple from West Coast Catholic. They created West Coast Catholic together. We're going to get into that origin story as well. But Alex, I think we always have to start with some brief intros, guys. If you don't mind, one at a time. Just where did you guys grow up? How was your faith life coming up, and kind of what led you to each other?
Ooh, I like that intro.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's start.
Okay, go ahead.
I grew up in Fort Collins, Colorado. I grew up Catholic. I had great parents, great family. I was actually homeschooled for like 7 years of my life. But then I went to public high school and became normal. And then I ended up going to Gonzaga University for school. And that's where I met Mari. And faith was always a part of my life. I did the activities as a kid. My mom always had me in all the youth groups. And then I was the one leading all the youth groups in high school. But then I would say my first encounter with Jesus and like true like conversion moment was in high school. And then, rode that high for a little bit, but then life happens and you're a teenage boy and you start getting tempted into the things of the world, the pleasures of the world. And so fell away for a little bit, but thankfully God brought me back in college. And I was lucky enough to have a good mentor in college that really discipled me, and then I had some great experiences serving as a missionary with Life Teen in the summer, and so those two experiences really led me back to Christ, and I learned how, like, what it meant to actually live as a disciple and be a Christian, and it was during that time of me like refining my faith and falling in love with God that Mari and I met, and so she only saw the good part of me post conversion, which was great, and then yeah, after that, I was in college. We started West Coast Catholic, the business we've been running now for like 7 years, and and then I mean, we did a time with Focus. We're Focus missionaries for a couple years after college, still growing West Coast Catholic in the background, and then left that and have been doing West Coast Catholic ever since. So
Yeah.
that's a little bit about me.
Yeah. And then for me, I was baptized Catholic, so like cradle Catholic, but I grew up in a very like culturally Catholic family. We're from Colombia, South America, and it's very common for Hispanic culture to be very culturally Catholic. And I I remember, like, my parents talking to me about God, and we would pray before bed and before meals, but beyond that, and usually Sunday mass, but living in Seattle, if the sun was out that day, that was excuse enough to get out and go on a hike or something and skip mass that day. That was my upbringing. And then it wasn't until like midway through high school, my mom had a radical like reversion back to the Catholic faith. And it impacted all of us in our family. I think like the Lord really, Mary specifically, really stole her heart, brought her back home. And then slowly we all kind of followed suit. So she's a great mom for bringing us all back. And that really sparked that, along with having a lot of Mormon friends in high school, sparked a lot of interest in learning more about my faith and learning like apologetics and being able to explain why we believe things and what these prayers mean. Cause I was getting asked these questions all the time by my Mormon friends. And in that, I realized like I didn't have a lot of Catholic community, and I never really did growing up. I always was quote unquote like the most religious girl in any group, and I wasn't really even practicing much in my life. But by the end of high school, faith was becoming more and more important to me and more of a foundational pillar that I like wanted to be the center of my life, and I wanted to surround myself with people who wanted to live the same way. And so that's why I chose to go to Gonzaga University, which is a Catholic college in Washington, only to then arrive there and realize it's not actually very, very Catholic in nature, really kind of just in the name, which was a little bit of a bummer when I got there. But I really tried to jump into like the Christian groups on campus and kind of did what I could, but it just never really felt like it never really felt like the fullness and like really what I was looking for. And those first few years of college definitely also strayed away a little bit and just jumped into the worldly culture of a college campus. And then it was when I met Trey and that mentor you're talking about, I believe. That was kind of the spark of it all. I met this mentor that Trey got connected with. I met Trey, and this guy we're talking about, he works for Focus. He's like one of the regional directors of Focus. And so he introduced us to Focus and got me connected with a marketing internship the summer after my sophomore year of college. And I got the internship, and I was going to live out in Colorado for the summer. And I remember being so nervous that I was going to end up living with a bunch of like weird people, because that's like the only Catholics I had experience with in Seattle. And I got there and was so pleasantly surprised to be surrounded by women my age who loved Jesus, genuinely wanted to live a Christ-centered life, and were actually doing it in their early 20s on a college campus. And I remember I couldn't believe it. Like I actually thought they were faking it the first like couple weeks. I'm like, you guys, like, we already got the job. Like, you can be honest with me. Like, what is your life really like? And they're like, no, like, this is really, like, we're really striving. And, like, we really try and not get drunk. And we don't sleep with our boyfriends. And we pray every day. And I was just like, wow, like super inspired by them. And their witness to me that summer was probably one of the most powerful moments I feel like in my life that has shaped my life and shaped my faith. And they basically discipled me all that summer and taught me what it meant to live a Christ-centered life and introduced me to these different avenues of this awesome Catholic world that we have here in the US. And one of those was Catholic Instagram bloggers, which at the time was a bit of a new concept. I feel like there was only like 3 or 4 of
Yeah.
them at the time. And so I started following them and loving just seeing their life and seeing them share about their faith, because I felt like finally somebody like me that was like cool and normal and loved Jesus and loved their Catholic faith, like I could connect with them. And then I realized that they all were from the East Coast or the Midwest, and nobody was from the West Coast. And I was like, well, that's pretty classic because I'm the only Catholic out there. So go figure. And I felt a nudge in my heart. It was really random and out of the blue. Like I really never set out to be an influencer or a Catholic influencer or anything. I just felt the Lord really nudge my heart to say, like, you need to be this person for other people too. Like you need to share about your faith and your love for the Lord and your experience online. So all the other Catholic women that are on the West Coast, at the very least, who feel so alone in their faith, can be inspired and be encouraged to stand out and be in the world, but not of the world. And so that's when I started my Instagram account, which at the time was what was called West Coast Catholic. That was my blog. And I honestly just didn't have a better name for it. It didn't really have much more reason beyond just the fact that I was
No, it
from the West.
sounds fantastic. I wasn't trying to make it sound any bad. It's an awesome name.
It's
Everybody
funny.
loves alliteration. The CT,
People
that's your
say
name
that.
right there.
People say that. They're like, what? It's such a cool name. I like, honestly, I'm like, I didn't want
Yep.
that to be the name for the longest time. I was like, it means nothing, but it stuck. And after about a year of blogging and starting this account, it was really gaining traction. And a year into it was when we started West Coast Catholic,
The shop.
the actual shop, which we can go into that whole story too. But I'm going to stop there and let there be a pause for a moment. If you need to ask anything else.
No, absolutely. And thank y'all for sharing. If you don't mind me asking though, because my wife and I had just done our Marian consecration together just a few months back, and really just committed to the rosary. And I know Alex and his wife are doing the same, as they've always done it, but definitely diving in now. Do you mind diving into like that little family moment where Mother Mary kind of grabbed hold of you guys? Because I find it so fitting that she seems to always be the one who does that.
Yes. This y'all just get ready. I don't share this story a lot, and it only really comes up when the Holy Spirit prompts it. So yeah. So my mom was in a searching journey for the truth. She also grew up Catholic, and my grandma's Catholic, her mom, but again, not super practicing, but like all Hispanic grandmas, like she loves Mary, and she always taught us to love Mary. So that's one thing that I always carried with me about my Catholic faith. But yeah, at this point in life, my mom had kind of fallen away from the faith and was trying to find a new truth, was shopping, kind of going to different Christian churches. And she met some random lady at Target even who was a Hindu and invited her to her Hindu church. And she ended up sitting in one of their services offering peanuts to an elephant god and realizing like, yeah, I've really hit rock bottom here. And through that, she had a moment of
Sorry,
prayer where she just,
I don't mean to laugh.
I mean, it's pretty comical.
It's pretty funny.
But
Luckily, I don't think we'll offend any of your listeners by laughing at that.
I agreed. I think we probably won't on
Nice. Yeah, it's true.
this
Yeah.
demographic.
Yeah.
But anyways, she just like had a really deep moment of prayer where she cried out to the Lord and was like, if you are real, like you need to make it known to me. And if the Catholic Church is true, you need to make it known to me. And she knew to seek Mary's help, and she prayed to Mary, like, bring me back. Like, I know you're real. Like, she believed in Mary. And so she was like, I know you're real. Like, bring me back. Like, I don't know what to do here. And it was a really random night, okay? Middle of the night, we had gotten back from a dance team competition. I was on the dance team in high school, so we got back like 10 p.m., super late, and around midnight, she's getting ready for bed, and um, she's brushing her teeth. And as she's brushing her teeth, she just has a so, okay, side note, there's this like pilgrimage Mary statue at our parish that kind of like travels around different houses, right? And you can like have her for a week and pray the rosary and all that. And that was the one thing my mom liked to do every now and then. And so she like signed up for this week, and it was, I believe, like Mary's birthday or something, like the nativity of Mary or something like that. So she was like very proud to have Mary in her home during this time. And we didn't make time one time that entire week to sit down, pray the rosary, spend any time as a family honoring Mary or anything. And so she gave the Mary statue back that day, really, really sad. And she's brushing her teeth that night, and she just feels that pain in her heart of like, gosh, like we had Mary in our home and we didn't even do anything. And like, we're so lost and we are so far. And just like, I need something, you know? And she turns and looks over on the bathroom mirror and sees an image of Mary on the mirror. It's a little interesting to imagine. It's like, do you know when you brush your teeth and there's like water and scum that kind of like dries on the mirror and it's like a white film? Like
Oh yeah.
that material, it was made up of that
Yeah,
material, and it's this like
that's my
whole
way.
image. It's this whole image of Mary that's like, it's like a white film like painted on the mirror almost, and she looks over and she immediately sees Our Lady like holding a body, and if you look closely there's like these three crosses. So it's the image of the Pietà. And she sees it and she immediately recognizes it
Mhm.
as Mary, and she stops brushing her teeth and she's kind of like, you know, freaking out, like, what is going on? How did this appear on my mirror? And my dad was on a business trip, so he wasn't home. And she ran to my room at like midnight, and I'm like 16 or something. And she like comes and wakes me up and she's like, I need you to come see something in the bathroom. You're kind of freaking me out. What's going on? And she's like, I don't want to tell you. I just want you to come see what it is for yourself. And she brings me into the bathroom, and I didn't even have to get close. Like the second I walked into the bathroom, I saw it on the mirror and I was like, Mom, what is that? Like, that looks like Mary. Like, that looks like an image of Mary. And she was, and then she lost, and then she starts crying, and then she's like, oh my gosh, it's true. It's real. Like, I'm not crazy. Like, you see it too. and, and she was just like, okay, like, you go back to bed. Like, I just needed to confirm. And for some reason, I went back to bed and I didn't really think much of it, but she stayed up that night and she prayed a rosary, and she asked Mary to bring her back to the faith and to bring her back to the truth of the Catholic Church. And all that night she prayed, and she stayed up researching Mary on the mirror. Mary appears on my mirror, like trying to find another story that is similar to this so she could understand. And the only thing that came up was the apparitions of Mary in Medjugorje. Have you guys heard of Medjugorje?
Oh yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. And so that's
Mhm.
all
Yeah,
that was
yeah, of
coming
course.
up online. And it's because those apparitions are still happening today. So it's an amazing
Oh, wow.
it's an amazing place where Mary has been appearing for the last, I don't know, however many years, but it's not approved officially by the Catholic Church yet because the apparitions need to
Right.
end before they investigate, right? Kind of like a canonization. And so they're still ongoing. And my mom is like so confused reading all this online. She's like, what do you mean? Like, I thought like Mary appearing was this like ancient, like almost like a fairy tale you hear, you know, like that doesn't really happen. And then she's learning all about the visionaries and Medjugorje and the visions and all that stuff, and she's captivated. She goes to bed that night, and in the morning is getting ready for the day, and she reaches into her jewelry box, and she's not sure how this medal appeared, but she finds a medal on the top of her jewelry box, and she turns it over, and it says Medjugorje. And it's this medal of Our Lady of Medjugorje. And my mom felt like it was this miracle, this like insane confirmation of Our Lady being like, yes, it's me. Like, I'm with you. I hear you. I'm here. And like, I'm bringing you back. And so that pretty much did it. Then she called the priest and she was like, hi, you don't know me, but I go to your church. I need you to come to my house as soon as possible and like hear about what's going on. And I need to show you what's on my mirror and all that. And he came over and they had a beautiful meeting, and he confirmed that, like, this is true, and it's happening in your home. And the Lord does things like this to bring us back to him, and he hears our prayers. And Mary, especially, like, this is her job, is to bring lost children back to the Father. And I mean, that was pretty much the beginning of like a whole conversion story for her. And we still have that mirror. They took it down and we have it like in our garage, but the image is still on there. It's beautiful. And a lot of people have been impacted by it as well. My mom held monthly rosaries at the house for a few years. And we would have rosaries at the house and people would come and see the mirror. And I've seen atheists been converted from this image on the mirror that played a part in their story. So that's, yeah, a little snippet of that.
Wow. Thank you for sharing.
I'm
that.
glad you asked. Yeah. I got chills twice. That was incredible. Oh, Our Lady has stepped in for me a couple times. Very raw and very obviously. She is, she is as real as it gets. She never ever will not help you if you ask. That's something I have learned very well. What an amazing story. I mean, really, what an amazing story. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
You mentioned a while back, I'm way pivoting back now, but kind of that pull in your heart, and both of y'all's hearts, I would imagine, to start the blog and Instagram account, feeling like you were the only one living out your faith, in this region. And I think Ryan and I both definitely have been there within the past 3-4 years of having these big reversions and feeling like this is awesome. And you have your spouse, of course, and they're living it with you and striving. But there are, community holes that your house can't fill for, your spouse can't fill for you. And you need people around you. You need to be able to share your faith with friends, with family, with your parish, So I'd love to know kind of, when did y'all feel like, you mentioned focus, of course. Was that kind of the moment y'all felt like y'all got that? Or is that something you have now where you're, at parish life in Colorado? Or just how has that developed for you guys now? And how important is that?
Yeah. I'll give Mario a break from talking. I mean, community is everything. It's very, very important. I mean, I know it's one of the like 4 practices of a disciple that the apostles were participating in the Acts of the Apostles in Scripture, and community it's very important. And I know when both of our experiences at college was we desired to go to a Catholic college because we desired community, especially in the Catholic faith, that we didn't have growing up in our hometowns or in our high schools. And then reaching university and realizing, oh, it's not here either. And then spending, the majority of our time at college trying to build that and create that. And then having a passion for it. And yeah, we got it to some extent at college for sure. And we had friends that we lived in community with. And then, I mean, Focus is amazing. They didn't have Focus missionaries on our campus. So we kind of had to spearhead everything and run the Bible studies all ourselves. But Focus was a beautiful witness for like Mari when she was at her internship. But then once we joined Focus as full-time missionaries and went to campus, like the community we had within our team, and then even just like, I mean, we were young, fresh out of college, and the older guys, the seniors, like they just felt like my brothers, and like they're some of my best friends, and so being able to live in community completely changes the way you live your faith.
Mhm.
It makes it so much more real. It also holds you accountable and keeps like the fire stoked in your heart. Um, but I mean, community looks different in every phase of life, and so it looked different in high school than it did in college, and when we were missionaries, and then we leave missionary life, and we go back home to a normal parish, and it's yeah, we had to start over again, and so we've been living here for coming up on 3 years, I think,
Mhm.
and it feels like we're kind of just starting to like get this community thing figured out here.
Mhm.
Mari's done an excellent job. She started leading a Bible study and started inviting people in, and then we love hosting, and so we'll have people over for dinner a lot. Um, and so that's how we've been able to make. Excuse me. That's how we've been able to make community. Uh, and then we also started this marriage group. It's kind of been on and off, but we did meet pretty consistently for the first year. Second year has been kind of hard to align schedules, but that's life. But we had a couple other couples and us, and we like read a marriage book together and just had dinner once a month at each other's houses.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I mean, community is everything, but it just takes different forms
Mhm.
every time, like in each phase of life. But the one consistent is that it takes work and effort and it's not easy. And it's like, we have to like build it. Like
Yeah.
you want to go somewhere and be like invited into the community, but more often than not, you have to create it yourself, or at least be very intentional and participating in the community creation that's happening around you.
Yeah. That was the biggest thing I was gonna touch on is that I get a lot of comments when I share about different friend groups or Bible studies or communities that I'm a part of on my Instagram, people being like, wow, like, I wish I had that. And it's funny, I was having this conversation with Megan today because she got a similar comment, like somebody being like, wow, like, you're so lucky you have this. Like, there's no way I could ever have this. And we had this whole conversation about how, like, yes, it's absolutely a gift. And also, we had to work really hard to get here. And community wasn't an easy thing that just magically appeared on our doorstep. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is what Trey is saying, like it takes work to build a close knit, intentional community that you can walk with in your faith. Um, and in all these seasons of life that Trey was outlining, we worked for it and we created it because we knew we needed it and we longed for it. And praise God, he gave us those gifts to kind of spearhead and lead and be able to start those things. But I mean, in college, yeah, starting Bible study groups, then becoming missionaries. I mean, creating community is like basically your job. Then, as soon as we got to Colorado, we were like, okay, we know we got to get plugged into groups. If we didn't get any invites, we were like, okay, like time to start it ourselves. You know, it's time to start inviting people over for dinner. I started my Bible study a year ago, and it was amazing that first year. And then we've had a couple weeks. We started again in October, and this year I can already feel like the level of depth has grown so much after a year of being together, but it took a whole year of meeting consistently to then get to that deeper level. Because as adults, it's not like college. You're not seeing these people every day. You're not experiencing like every part of life together. It's like so few and far between that you get to see your friends as an adult. And so it's just a slower pace of building depth and building up that community. But we've had to go out of our way. We've had to make time in our schedules, open our doors, constantly be the ones hosting without an invitation, and just being generous with our time and talent and everything, to invite people in and cultivate that over time.
Our pastor said in a homily not terribly long ago, our pastor is we call him a savage. He's a very frank
He is
man,
a
and he
savage.
is not going to pull any punches. He never does. We appreciate him for that. But he was like, and he starts doing the hands. He says, when was the last time you invited any Catholic into your house? Really?
Yep.
Like, the Protestants are really good at it. When's the last time you did it? And it's funny, our stories seem so parallel. How did our group really form? It was a marriage and family small group every other Friday at church, and then Megan's rosary brunches. And, if you get the wives together, then there you go. And then Ryan and I going on together, but then leading an Acts retreat. And then that really all, solidified everything. So
That's
It's
awesome.
awesome. The it's funny. I sent this text to our group that Ryan and Megan are both in just the other day. You mentioned work, just work. It's a Saint Jerome quote from his. You guys probably saw it. Ascension posted it, but it was, "A friend is long sought, hardly found, and with difficulty kept." I just thought
Mm,
that was so
so good.
awesome. Basically, the last part just really, really spoke to me because it's like, yes, if we don't work, none of us will be friends in 5 years. You just have to
Yep.
work. And I'm like, I mean, I'm up for the challenge, you know? It's, yeah,
And
definitely.
I
So
commend you
good.
guys so much because, I think of all the work it takes, you and Trey, it took Meg to get it's so uncomfortable to step out and to do that. Like I think of, trying to find community when I was younger. And Trey, I think is a little bit similar to, as you were talking about your upbringing and, wanting that brotherhood, that camaraderie
Hmm.
in the faith, but just it was kind of like, I don't know how cool I'm going to be if I, really go down that road. And then I did not go to Catholic college. In fact, I'm ashamed to tell you it took me so long to know Gonzaga was actually a Catholic school. I just knew it was a basketball school. And
That's all we really
but
know
I
of
did
it
listen
anyway.
to you guys talk about
St. Aloysius Gonzaga is awesome. I went to Jesuit high school in New Orleans. He's a fine Jesuit saint. Big fan. Absolutely.
Big
but I
fan.
did listen to you guys talk about the the absence of that Catholic community at Gonzaga when you were starting. And I loved the story you guys told, and I might, you don't have you've told it 1,000 times, I'm sure, but that Trey beat you into an office to talk about getting some missionary work, or you could just
How did
what was
you
it
know?
like to really take on the challenge? I told you I
You
listened to a podcast. You guys do
you've
a good
done your
job on
research.
your podcast. Um, little bit when I was sitting in traffic on my way home. That was it.
I love it.
But what's it like to really like look at each other and say, not only are we going to try to create a a community, but we're going to try to make it university wide. That seems like a bite that's a little bit too big to chew.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Uh,
that's pretty standard for
I mean, it's very standard for us. We're biting off a lot more than we can chew. And I think there's a little bit of like I was a freshman in college. I was naive, but I was like, why not? Like I didn't understand the deeply like political and like complications that come with humans running administrative departments at a Catholic college with leadership levels and donor levels and all the intricacies. But I was like, students want Bible studies. There's an organization that leads Bible studies. Let's bring them to just have them on campus. What's so wrong with that? And so,
Yeah, so Trey had gone into the office like a week before I did to talk to the ministry director and be like, "Hey, have you heard of Focus? Like, it's this incredible organization that leads Bible studies, disciples students, and ironically enough, our Catholic school doesn't have any Catholic groups. Like, we should probably bring them." And then a week after that is when I walked into the office, and that was before Trey and I had like officially met. So we didn't know each other at the time. I had just like heard about Seek from a friend and found Focus and looked up stuff about them and just from their website was like, "Oh, this is what Gonzaga needs." And I like tried calling their headquarters and emailing them to be like, "Hey, like I'm a college student at Gonzaga, like can we get you guys on our campus?" And they never answered their phones or replied to my emails, which is honestly really concerning, but well, that's yeah, another story. And so I got to Gonzaga and I walked into the ministry office and I was like, "Look, have you heard of Focus?" And same thing. I was like, "We have no Catholic community." And, I spent my whole freshman year trying to find it. And it's embarrassing that we don't have it. And I know there are students that want it. Like, we need to bring this organization to help us create it. And they were just like, "We love your enthusiasm. We will not be bringing Focus, but why don't you just do it yourself?" And I was like, "Okay." like, just start a bunch of Bible studies like myself. Like I'm a sophomore. Like I don't know how to do this. And I'm a Catholic. Like you think I know the Bible? Like I don't know how to lead a Bible study. Like nobody taught me how to read the
There it
Bible.
is. Yes.
And they were like, "Well, this guy came in a week like just last week asking about the exact same thing. Do you know Trey Wagner? And that name had rung a bell because my friend had mentioned him my freshman year, mentioning that like he would be such a great guy for me to get to know. But I dismissed it because he was a year younger than me. And so I was like, whatever. So then when this name came up, I was like, oh, yes, I have heard of this man. I know exactly how to get connected with him. So then I chatted with my friend. I was like, I need you to set up a coffee date, but I need you to be there. This cannot be a date. It's just about Bible studies. Like I just need to talk to him about leading Bible studies. And then that's really how it all sparked.
Yeah. And then, I mean, to pat ourselves on the back, we each led a couple Bible studies. We had like disciples, and we like basically sent out other people to also lead Bible studies. So there's probably like, I don't know, any one time, like 50 or so students in Bible study. And then we brought 50 students to Seek. Gonzaga had never been to Seek before, but we got 50 students to show up at Seek one year,
And without missionaries.
all without missionaries.
So
Just Mari and I and our friends.
it was a wild and just extremely beautiful time that I will always cherish.
That's awesome. When you guys were focused missionaries, where were y'all? Where did y'all go?
We served in Nebraska, University of Nebraska in Lincoln.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Very different for sure.
Oh yeah, the
I hear it
Disney
gets
World.
chilly out there.
Oh yeah.
Sitting
Well,
in Colorado, you're going to talk about it being cold?
We're in Alabama. I don't know nothing about that.
okay, fun fact though is people think that Colorado is like super cold because we have the mountains and we get snow, but it's not that bad. And Nebraska is way worse. Like when we lived in Nebraska, you got like negative 20 degrees, and that's like never once happened here. Sometimes you'll have a 60-degree day,
No,
sunny December.
it was 90 today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't get on board with that.
Yeah. I wouldn't like that.
No. No. Generally, the last week of October, like just in time for kids to trick or treat or whatever, that's when it finally just drops a little bit. And it's like, okay, there it is. It's going to stay now. It looks like it might be next week, but the South likes to like
You
throw
never
shit,
know.
like just
You-
play with us,
you
just
really
up and
never
down.
know.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I'd love to kind of dive a little bit now into y'all's origin story from a business standpoint, or let's finish out, how you guys came together, started your romantic relationship, ended up married, and then because I'm listening to a little bit of background, I know that these stories are so intertwined with how West Coast Catholic
Yeah.
got started. So forgive me for my not so eloquent way of asking you to tell that story.
Okay.
Where do we start?
I think I'll just pick back up from
Okay.
where I was at.
Perfect.
So we had the whole backstory of how my blog started. And so I started posting on Instagram, and basically I was just posting about what I was doing as a college student to live out my faith, what my prayer looked like. I would like even post like a lot of like the journals that I like journaling that I had in my prayer to show people like this is how you can talk to God, like this is how you can pray. And after a year, it was gaining a lot of traction. I think I probably had a couple thousand followers. And at the same time, we were also discerning engagement. And we were young in college and broke. And our parents were like, how are you going to get married without any money? And we were like, I don't know, but we'll figure it out. Like that was not our concern, right? But one day I approached Trey in the cafeteria over lunch, and I was like, listen, we have this like platform, or I have this platform that's like growing. And one way that we can support these people following along. Oh, wait. Backstory. Wait. I skipped a step. Rewind. In that year of me building my platform, Trey had done Life Teen one of the summers in Georgia at the Hidden Lake camp. And as one of the camp leaders, like as camp leaders, they teach you how to make these like corded rosaries to make with the kids at like the art barn. And he like came back and knew that I had this like beautiful love for Mary. And so he made me this handmade rosary for my birthday. And we went out to Michael's and we like picked the beads and picked the cord, and then he like put it together, and it was really beautiful. It was like a really beautiful rosary. It was intentionally made, beautifully designed, and I was very drawn to it. And even though I had a close relationship with Mary, I didn't pray the rosary much because I just felt like it was something like my grandma did, or my mom had us do rosaries after mass every Sunday, but my mom's rosaries are usually like 40 minutes long. And so I just was not willing to add that into my daily routine until Trey gave me this beautiful rosary. And then I was really drawn to it, and I held it all the time. I had it in my backpack. I slept with it under my pillow. Like I put it in my purse. Like I just had this attraction to this like beautiful rosary. And then finally I was like, well, I have it with me all the time. Like I might as well just pray it. I might as well just start praying the rosary. And so I did. I started praying the rosary more often. And if you've ever gone through a period of time where you pray the rosary consistently or daily, you know the graces that come with that. And all of a sudden, like the faith just became sweet. The things of the faith became attractive and light and easy and beautiful. And it really impacted my faith and my prayer life and brought me closer to Jesus. Fast forward to the coffee or the cafeteria conversation, right? So I'd approached him and I was like, look, like this rosary you made me has really been impacting my faith. And we have this platform that's growing on Instagram. What if we made a batch of handmade rosaries like the one that you made me, and we bless the people following along with a beautiful rosary, and we save up a couple $100 so that you could buy me an engagement ring, maybe. And he liked the idea. I mean, he's an entrepreneur. We both come from entrepreneurial families, and he was like, okay, sure.
I'll have you know, though, not one dime of that money that we made from West Coast Catholic I used to buy the engagement ring. It was all my money.
That's true. And we are so
Excellent.
proud of that. Yeah, you worked hard for that. But so anyway, so we agreed to it. We're like, okay, I think we said we were going to make 75 rosaries or something like that. And I drew up 4 different designs over the springtime. And my dad, quote unquote, invested in us and gave us $250 to buy materials. And so we bought materials, and then Trey spent the whole summer. He went back to Life Teen and then spent the whole summer making rosaries, like every night after camp, like feeding these rosaries just to get our stock ready. And we, like, honestly, that was it. That was the plan. Like it was just to sell these 75 rosaries on my stories. Like we weren't even planning on like opening a website or a shop. Like we just were going to sell it on my stories, make a couple $100, bless people with beautiful rosaries, and kind of move on. And then I would like tease the rosaries coming a little bit before, like a week before something. I was like, "Ooh, these pretty rosaries are coming. Like, let me know if you're interested." And there's actually a lot more interest than I thought. And the night before, like at like 2 a.m., I was like, we might need a website. Like maybe we should just pull a website together really quick so I don't have to collect these addresses in my
The
DM
night before the release.
at 2 a.m., which is not uncommon for West Coast Catholic happenings, I'll tell you that. And at 2 a.m., I was like, we need to pull together a website. So I'm like making a website at 2 a.m. No, I mean, no branding, no logo, no nothing, right? And so I'm just throwing it together. And Trey's like, well, maybe we should name it something. Like, we should name the business something. And I was like, it's not going to be anything, Trey. Like, you just need to call it West Coast Catholic so people know where it's tied to. And so we just called it, we just put West Coast Catholic on the website so people would know it was coming from the blog. And the next day we launched. I just put on my stories like, hey guys, like, go ahead and shop these cool rosaries we made. And I set a link. And in a couple hours, we sold out. And we were sitting there looking at each other like, is this right? Like, what? We're sold out? What the heck? And my parents were like shocked. They were they're very supportive in all my endeavors. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. So like I've had like a bajillion other businesses since I was like eight years old. And they've always been supportive of all my crazy ideas. But for this one, they were kind of like, really? Like, you're going to make a living like selling rosaries? Like, Catholics get free rosaries wherever they go, at the parish, at your retreat, like at your confirmation class. Like, who's going to buy a
True.
rosary? And and to our surprise, in those first couple hours, they sold out. And like good entrepreneurs, we did not set it out of stock because we were like, well, clearly people want these rosaries. So we just kept getting orders, and we just put there like, it'll take 4 weeks for you to get your order because we now have hundreds of rosaries to make. And so we would buy more materials, and Trey would stay up till, the early hours of the morning again, like beating rosaries. And it just kept happening. It just kept coming out of stock, and we'd come out with a new style because I was like, what the heck? Let's just come out with a new style. And within the first couple hours, it would sell out of stock. And then we'd come out with another style just like a couple months later. And I was like, well, surely people already bought the first rosary and the second rosary. Like, you're not going to buy the third. So we're not going to sell out of this one. And we'd sell out again. And then it was really Easter of 2020, before COVID happened. We were preparing for our, biggest launch. We had made 200 something rosaries of our like Easter, a brand new like Easter design. And we were like, okay, surely these will last us a few months. Like, there's no way we can sell out of these. And then COVID hit, and we were like, oh gosh, no one's going to spend money. Like, this was a bad idea. Now we have these hundreds of rosaries. How are we going to sell them? And then we launch on Easter in 2020, and within a couple hours, the entire stock sells out. And that was the moment that we really looked at each other and were like, okay, God's really doing something here. And I don't think this is like just like a side project anymore. Like, maybe we should really consider this as a business and see where the Lord wants to take it. And then from there, I mean, we just kept it going. One of the greatest gifts is just seeing the way that our rosaries and our products have impacted people. And we saw it with my testimony from the beginning, from that first rosary. And within those first couple months, we were getting messages, and still years later, I mean, we just did a customer like research survey and chatted with hundreds of customers. And as I'm reading the responses, like, I'm literally in tears of just like feeling the weight and the gratitude of this mission that the Lord has given us to impact souls of this generation. Like, I truly believe that like the Lord has had West Coast Catholic in mind to reach a portion of this young generation of souls and bring them back to the faith. And so we don't take that lightly. And we really believe that like what we're doing is first and foremost a mission. Nothing is a coincidence, and the Lord is intentional with everything. And he specifically chose Trey and I as people and as a married couple to get this mission out there and make it as big as possible, to bring as many young people as possible to encounter the love of Christ through the rosary, through prayer, through Mary.
Y'all's products, the first time I ever heard of y'all, I think it was just a random ad on Instagram, probably. I just stumbled upon y'all. And so, you click shop now, you go to the website, and I'm browsing, I'm going. And the first thing you think is it's all beautiful. And it is. Y'all make beautiful stuff, first and foremost. A previous guest, Ryan and I had on, Anthony D'Ambrosio, the director of Triumph of the Heart, if y'all had heard of it, the movie about St. Maximilian Kolbe. But he said, how is the church always evangelized from its beginnings to now? And it's through a beautiful liturgy and the saints, inspirations to people. But within both of those things, there's beauty. There's beauty in people, and there's beauty in our churches, our cathedrals, our sacramentals, the sacraments themselves. And I am of the personal opinion, folks can say what they want with this, but I do think if someone has a beautiful rosary in their hand, they are probably more likely to pray it than the $2, plastic rosary. And I think it's not a given, but I think there's some truth to that. So where do y'all feel like, the beauty in those products, how big of a part does it play, you think, in maybe how they speak to people, but also how do they reflect our Catholic faith? what's y'all's goal there with the beauty of what y'all make?
Yeah. I'm gonna let Mari talk about that because that is like her biggest passion. And but to your point, to touch on briefly, is yes, I 100% agree. If it's a beautiful product, they're gonna use it more. Um, and you can look at that for any product you have in your house. With the higher quality product, you're going to be more drawn to. Um, then there's the other side of it where if you actually had to invest money in something, then there's a greater chance I got it to actually. And so there is like a belief that we have, or like there is this truth that's like, oh, if we charge them, but they have to spend $50 on this rosary, that could be that. It's kind of a lot. Like there's rosaries out there that are $200, $400, but yeah, $50 is not cheap. But it's like getting them to commit financially, and then that actually does. I mean, I see that when I do that in my life, and I buy stuff, I'm more inclined to use it like well. But now I'll let you talk about it.
Yeah, beauty is everything at West Coast Catholic. It's like the center of it's like a center pillar that we have. We do nothing that is not like every detail of our business, everything internal that isn't seen externally, and everything external is like done to the nth degree of beauty, because beauty is a transcendental, right? We have like beauty, truth, and goodness, and these things elevate our soul and lift our eyes towards heaven. And some of us connect with one of them more than the other. Um, I obviously really connect with beauty, and I really think that our generation connects with beauty. And it's funny when you were saying like, how is the church always evangelized? Beauty is the first thing that came to my mind. Like, our stunning churches are what tourists all over the world still go see when they go all over the world. And so beauty has always been at the center of our faith. Um, and right now, like, the young generations, like, we care about aesthetics. We care about beauty. We care about curating our look and our aesthetic, and making things feel our own. And what I recognized in my life is that I really wanted to make the Catholic faith my own. And I wanted to make my dorm room cute and Catholic. And then when I got married, I wanted like a beautiful Catholic home to build a domestic church. And I just realized that a lot of the Catholic items that were available to me at the Catholic bookstore just were not quite my style. They were more like my grandma's. And we love grandma. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's her style, right? And it speaks to her. And I wanted to create products, especially when we moved into lifestyle stuff as well, home decor, accessories, apparel. Like, I wanted to create products that embodied our Catholic faith and that were attractive to young people today, to make the faith their own so that they could also live out the faith in their homes and in their lives in everyday ways and feel like it's truly part of their life.
One of our most controversial Instagram
Oh
posts we've
yes.
ever put up was our hot take episode, and all I said was that when someone walks into your home, they should know you're Catholic. And some of the backlash that I got from some Protestants, I'm sure you guys are no stranger to.
Really?
You must get some pushback on that. I'm just saying.
Wait, I want to know though, like, what was the
It
pushback?
was very interesting.
Oh my gosh, it was everything from
It was they should know you by your fruits of the spirit, not by anything in your house, essentially.
I
But
was
said
I
in
was
a lot of
called
varying meanness,
I was
just
called
depending on who they
everything
were. Yeah.
from a surface level Christian to a like pagan or who knows. I was called some names.
Wow.
But I couldn't agree more. I think our church 100% backs everything you just said. Is the beauty of our church. And guys, if you have not checked out West Coast Catholic, the beauty of these products is not just something we're blowing smoke because you guys are here with us. I go on your website and my cart, I can't check out because my cart for everything I want for my wife, I'd bankrupt myself. I just add everything. It's just gorgeous stuff. So
Oh, I love that.
what was your can I ask you guys to dive into your mission statement, because I heard you talk about it on an episode, and I absolutely think your mission statement is beautiful, and I think our listeners will love to hear it.
Yeah. So, I mean, the shortened tagline of the mission statement is experience of the fullness of heaven. And so I think the full mission statement is like, through lifestyle, goods, and prayer tools, we desire every person to experience the fullness of heaven. But uh, that tagline, experience a foretaste of heaven, the natural question is, in what is heaven? And and how can we then experience a foretaste or glimpse of that here on earth? Heaven, ultimately, what it is it's community with God. And how do we participate in communion with God here on earth? That's through prayer. It's through the sacraments, it's through worship, but it's also through prayer. And so if we can root ourselves in prayer, that's rooting ourselves in communion, and we're able to actually experience that relationship and that communion, that taste of heaven here on earth. And so everything that we do, from social media content, the products that we sell, is to encourage people to pray, essentially.
How do y'all feel like the Catholic social media world is right now, the state of it? And are y'all really happy with what y'all seeing and how things are going? What do y'all think?
I would say whenever you talk about social media, like you need to be careful, because with the social media that I experience, I guarantee you it's completely different from the social media experience that you have on your phone to everybody else out there. Like everybody's own social media experience is so different because it's algorithm. Um, so like, I know what Mari sees is way different than what I see. The reels that I send Mari that we watch late at night are way different than the reels that she sends me.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can speak to like our from our side, but I do want to kind of call that out, that like the social media reality and experience is so different for everybody.
That's so true.
But from our experience, I'll let you go.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good to call out because there are so many pockets of Catholic social media, and it has absolutely blown up the past 2 years. Like before, I knew every single Catholic creator out there, and like we all kind of knew of each other and all connected in some ways, collaborated in some ways. And then, like, I literally remember, like, I just like woke up one day and I was like, oh, whoa, that's a new Catholic creator. Cool. And then I kept scrolling and I'm like, whoa, that's a new one. Oh, that's another one. And I literally saw like 7 new Catholic content creators in like the same day, like overnight. And I was like, who are these people? And I mean, on one hand, it's like, it's incredible. I'm like, well, great. Like, that's the goal. Like, when we started, like, we wanted to flood people's feeds with Catholic content. And the more people that are creating Catholic content, the higher likelihood there is of people encountering truth and Catholic content on their Instagram. So I think on one hand, it's incredible. I love that it's blowing up. Um, Bummer it's blowing up at such a fast rate. I don't get to know all of these content creators anymore. I wish I did. But slowly I'm getting to know some of the newer gals, and that's been really fun. My biggest concern that I will share is that people on social media need to be formed in their faith. They need to be well formed in their faith and well rooted in a true prayer life, like a true interior life. And I can't say this with certainty because I don't know, like at this point, 70% of the content creators out there. But I I fear most people aren't. And it's one thing to be a content creator on Instagram, sharing about your life, interests, and your lifestyle, and you happen to be Catholic, share about that as well. And then there's another thing to be like a Catholic content creator where you are sharing teachings of the faith, inspiration, prayer, speaking on behalf of, almost the church, basically. And I really hope and would love to encourage Catholic creators to take that really seriously, to know the weight of responsibility that they hold, and to know for sure, like, the consumer has responsibility as well. And we can't just like take everything that a Catholic content creator says as church teaching, because it's not. But as Catholic content creators, like, we need to be forming ourselves. We need to know our faith well, and we need to have legit prayer life, because otherwise we're pouring from an empty cup, and we need to make sure that like the Lord is filling our souls and is the one fueling our online mission, and really dictating the content that goes out and inspiring it like through the Holy Spirit. because otherwise it's not going to do much good and it may actually do harm. There's a quote from this book that we really love called The Soul of the Soul of the Apostolate. I basically have the whole book highlighted. I highly recommend that you read it, especially if you are like spearheading some sort of mission. And one of the quotes in there, I'm totally going to butcher it, but it's basically like, you could do much work and like hammer really hard. Isn't that what it said? Doesn't it talk about a hammer?
Yeah, something about like hammering a gong really loud or something.
No, it doesn't have a gong, Trey. It doesn't have a gong. It's about like, you could work really hard and like hammer all day long and accomplish nothing and actually cause harm if not done with the Lord. Like, if you are not being, your mission isn't coming from and rooted in like a Eucharistic life, then you actually could get nothing done and actually cause harm. So that is my biggest piece of advice.
How do you guys stay rooted in your prayer life? Life is busy. It's very busy, and y'all have a lot going on. We know the feeling for sure. You know, any practical advice for the busy folks out there, and just what are the main ways y'all are praying nowadays? If you don't mind me asking.
Um, you have to like prayer has to be the top priority. You like read, and I think that was one of the biggest things that we learned over the years. Because I didn't know what prayer life was until this mentor like taught us and really missionary. And if I didn't schedule it into my day, if I didn't believe it would be the most important thing of the day. And so like starting there, that's like the foundation how you're going to build a prayer life. Be believing of you need prayer, you need the Lord, you need sacraments. And then it's more important than anything, than working out, than getting up early and going to the gym, than eating good food, than killing it at your job, like whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it's number one. And so, first of all, having that like true belief in our hearts, and then two, scheduling it, really just making it like part of your routine, and trying as best as you can to make it not noticeable. Now, life is busy for sure, and everyone's in a different stage of life, and we're in a unique situation where we own our own business, work from home, and we're our own bosses. So if you maybe make it more often to the adoration chapel of each Z, sometimes dealing with masses, praying at home. And that's not the case for everybody. If you have a 9-to-5 job or little children, or doesn't have help to be able to hand off while you pray. But I just want to say that, but we strive to have prayer be a daily part of our life. With how you get to it. I think our training and focus really taught us to have like at least 30 minutes of a little of prayer a day. It's really how you're going to have that relationship with God.
Start with what you can do. Start with 15. So whenever we go through like ruts of like, oh, we haven't been praying as much as we should be, then we'll get back and do it with shorter periods of prayer. Because as you get into it, it will get easier, and the 15 minutes will then be 20 and then be 30, and it'll start flying by. And then in spiritual direction the other day, the priest also said this line: pray as you can, not as you can't. And he's like, if your responsibilities in life as a business owner, husband, father, what have you, like, if you can't make an hour in the chapel, okay, like, so be it. Like, but pray where you can. So if you're sitting with a cup of coffee for 5 minutes in the morning, just like put your phone down, be with God for 5 minutes. If you're in the car, turn off the radio, turn off your podcast you're listening to, and just be with God in the silence for that 10-minute drive. And find moments in your life where you can just be with God and exist with God, even if it's not like this deep contemplative prayer. If you can just be in silence and be with God, everybody can find 10 minutes here, 5 minutes here to do that. And so that's at least something that I've been trying to work into my life more.
And I feel like Liturgy of the Hours has always been something you go back to kind of re-kickstart your prayer life?
Yeah, so morning prayer, evening prayer, night prayer, like I'll do some of that as well. If I don't have the desire to pray, or I don't know what to pray, or I don't have the words, I'll just pick up that.
Absolutely.
It's one of the best parts of our faith is sometimes you go through those stretches of not knowing what to say, and you always have those liturgies, the litanies, things like that
Absolutely.
are scripted prayers to go back to. It's nice
Yeah.
to hear you say that as well, because a lot of times when you get in those ruts and it just feels like you're so disconnected, it's like, oh, well, do I even pray? Because, just I don't feel it. Well, yes, it still means something to our Lord. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Y'all want to hear a really quick, kind of wild story?
Yeah.
Yes.
This just happened to me yesterday. All right.
Mm.
You'll appreciate this. I can't help it. It brought up. He does love me, I promise. I mean,
I
yes,
do. I
yes.
can't help it.
So my wife and I have 3 children, and our youngest is 6 months. So sleep is a little tough right now, certain nights. And I get up early and I go to the gym before work. It's the only time I'll do it. And one day a week, it's generally Wednesday or Thursday, I get up and I go to our adoration chapel for an hour instead of go to the gym. Um, it's off campus from our parish, but still it's now St. Pier Giorgio Frassati. So we're really excited about that here in Auburn.
Cool.
But I hadn't gone in a couple weeks just because of wake ups essentially and being so tired. And I got into this terrible mindset of, well, I need to exercise and I need to get up and maybe get up with our baby instead of my wife, but I don't need to go to adoration. It's not an absolute necessity.
Mm.
I'm praying the rosary at night. We have our little prayer corner. I don't need to go to this. And yesterday morning, baby got up 3 times and then exhausted, and the alarm went off to go to adoration, and I'm sitting there just like on the edge of my bed, literally having this like mental battle, like I'm exhausted. What do I do? And I finally decided, all right, I've gotten 5 hours of sleep, 5.5 hours, I need to get some more sleep. I'm miserable. And the past 2 days before I'd been tired, but I'd gotten up and I had exercised, and I turned off the alarm and reset it for the normal time. And literally, as I'm swinging my legs back into bed, this giant movement of my heart happened. And I heard very, very clearly our Lord say, Alex, well, why won't you suffer for me?
Oh.
And I was like, yeah, ooh, exactly. I mean, it was as clear as day. No,
I'm up. All
you'll,
right, I'm
you'll,
up.
no, you'll get up and you'll, of course, handle your child. That's your vocation, but get up and go to the gym and go for your run. But literally, Alex, why won't you suffer for me? Why won't you be tired for me? Essentially.
Mm.
And I mean, I was already laying down at that point. I did pass out, but working yesterday, I mean, it was just in my head again and again and again. So where I was this morning, to say the least. Yes, we got
Yes.
there, and that's not going to happen again. But it was just this incredible, like, sometimes the Lord just airmails you something, and it
Yeah.
was so
So
clear,
clear.
but not from this like, not from this like, I'm mad at you point, just like I'm longing for you, Alex. I want you to come and spend time with me, please. And it was a good reminder. That's all I'm saying. I knew y'all would all appreciate that, of course.
Yeah,
Very
that's
fresh.
really beautiful. And actually, I feel like you should share your big takeaway from your silent retreat, because I feel like it really relates to this conversation. Like we've mentioned a couple times, like, gosh, one of us said something like, oh yeah, like God deserves our time, or like, why won't you suffer for me? Or like, choosing prayer because we should give God our time. But Trey had a really great reflection at his silent retreat recently that's like completely changing the game for me in viewing prayer and realizing why we need prayer and not why God needs our prayer. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I just came off a silent retreat. I had a 4-day silent retreat at the end of last week, and one of this thing that I read, it was this short essay, this like excerpt from this Jesuit priest talking about prayer, and what he said was that like God is more important than you. And like, so therefore, like God's love is more important than your love. And so in prayer, like the hierarchy should be you just sitting there receiving God's love and letting God love you, not you being the one talking, like praising, giving God thanks, like asking for petition. Like it shouldn't be so much like you doing the praying, because God's love is greater than God's greater than you. God's love is greater than you. His prayer is greater than you. And so it is the greater prayer is to actually just sit there and
Receive.
just receive that and just like reflect on God's love for you and God's prayer, and not do so much of like, oh, I love you, God. Thank you so much for the day. Like I praise you.
And not that that's bad, like,
No,
not that that's not prayer, but just like really putting the emphasis on the fact that like God's love for us is the basis of prayer. And so when we're going to prayer, like, yes, of course, God deserves our time, but we actually like need to receive his love so much more than he needs us to prove that we love him. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
1,000%. No, I love that. I love that. It's funny. I heard a priest say, you don't say, I love you, Lord. You say, I love you too, because his love is bigger and he's always, so it was like
Yeah.
perfect, exact same kind of thing.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say thank you for sharing that story of God speaking to your heart.
Yeah.
It resonated with me. I wanted to hear that. It's good for me to hear, but I'm also sure like it's like it can feel weird at times to share those movements of the heart, especially as men, but it's really good to hear those like from other men. And so just thank you for sharing that. But the silent retreat, I would highly, highly, highly recommend. I don't go on any retreat that's not silent anymore.
Well, that's just
So
the one retreat you go on. Like,
yeah, but I also like don't like if I had the option between a silent retreat or a normal retreat, I would only pick the silent retreat now, because
yeah, that's
it's like, especially like with my formation and what I've been involved with in the faith, up to this point in my life, I've been very blessed with like really amazing formation and learning and hearing the thing. And like, yes, it's the endless amount of truth that we could pursue and like learn in the Catholic faith, which is beautiful. But really, like when I need to retreat, I just need to be with God. I needed just a full reset, a full cleanse. I forgot how to talk to him. I have not spent like extended time like with him. And so the first day, I mean, it takes like an entire day and a half to actually like get into silence, because while your phone's off, it's like your mind is still going so fast. And you're just like thinking of all the other things and distractions and things going on in your life. And so it's not until like, a day and a half into the retreat that then you could actually like feel like you can pray, because it took that long for your mind to quiet. And then at least the silent retreats that I've been on, there's always a retreat director that's giving some talks, or the ones I do are Ignatian, so it's the spiritual exercises of Saint Ignatius, and so he'll like lead you through the spiritual exercises. So that helps guide prayer, and so it's not just like you're on your own, but so that really helps.
Yeah. My father does the same retreat every year at the Manresa Jesuit Retreat House down in New Orleans, and it's always a highlight of his year. Yeah, and Saint Ignatius is my favorite saint, so big fan. Absolutely,
It comes up every week.
every week. Yep,
I love that.
he's awesome.
All right, guys. Well, we could probably continue this conversation all night.
Yep.
If you guys don't mind sharing with our listeners websites, social media handles, where can they find you? Where can they get some of this amazing stuff that you guys provide your customers?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. You can find us on a lot of different places. First of all, our website is westcoastcatholic.co. That's our shop, our Catholic lifestyle brand, where you'll be able to shop all of our beautiful products. You can follow me at mari.c.wagner on Instagram or Pinterest. And then West Coast Catholic is on Instagram. The handle is just at West Coast Catholic. I also have a podcast as well where we talk about marriage, faith, homemaking, clean living, being in the world but not of the world. It's called Ever Be Podcast. And so you can find that, on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and there's an Instagram for that as well, and that's at Everbee Podcast.
There we go. And I will put all of that stuff in the show notes just in case you missed it.
Perfect.
But guys, thank you for your time. You guys, all the work that you do together while maintaining a beautiful, healthy, faith-centered marriage is a true testament to what our Lord can do in marriage and in that covenant. And we thank you guys so much for joining us and just for evangelizing in the way that you do. It's such a crazy story how you guys just took off like that, and here you are still in love, not fighting with each other every day. It's pretty great.
Yeah, all by God's grace. All by God's grace, for sure.
Thank you.
Love it.
Amen, y'all. Absolutely.
Well,
And we'll pray for continued health and success, and for West Coast Catholic and you guys to grace people in the way that the Lord plans for you all. It's going to be awesome to watch and witness. Absolutely.
Thanks so much, you guys. Thanks for having us on.
Appreciate it.
God bless everybody. Check out West Coast Cap as soon as possible.
Yes, indeed. And we will see y'all next week in the garage.